From Chhattisgarh, Bastar, a Pandwani singer does not read from a text. He or she stands before a crowd with a single musical. In the villages of Chhattisgarh, in the rice fields of Raipur, in the sal forests of Bastar, in the iron mining towns of Durbhilai, there lives a performance tradition that turns the Mahabharat into something you can hear while grinding grain. It is called Pandavani. PNDV means the Pandav brothers. VNI means speech, voice, song. The Pandav's voice. A Pandwani singer does not read from a text. He or she stands before a crowd with a single musical instrument, usually a tambura, a one-string drone lute, and tells the entire epic from memory. Not the entire epic in one sitting. A chapter. An episode. A single battle. A single betrayal. The audience knows the main story already. They have heard it since childhood. What they come for is the particular singer's version, the jokes, the moral asides, the moment when the singer stops the narrative and asks the crowd a question. The Mahabharat, composed in Sanskrit by Brahman poets over centuries, was never meant for Chhattisgarhi rice farmers. But stories travel. Traders carried them. Wandering sadhus carried them. The Gond and Halba and Maurya tribal communities of Bastar absorbed the epic and reshaped it. In Pandwani, Krishna is still divine, but he is also a clever neighbor who gives practical advice. Draupadi is not only a queen, she is a woman from the audience's own experience, asked to tolerate what no woman should tolerate. Bhima is an appetite and a fist. The Kauravas are not abstract evil, they are the landlords, the corrupt officials, the cousins who cheat you at the harvest division. Verrier Elwin, the British anthropologist who lived among the Maurya of Bastar in the 1930s and 40s, recorded Pandwani songs and noticed something: the performers had made the Mahabharata a mirror of Chhattisgarhi life. There are two main styles of Pandwani. The Kapalik style, associated with the singer Jhaduram Devangan and his lineage, uses elaborate costumes and multiple props. The singer plays different characters, switching voices, holding a spear for Bhima, a flute for Krishna. The Vedmati style is simpler and older. In Vedmati, one singer, one tambura, one voice. The singer narrates everything. When Arjuna speaks, the singer's voice shifts slightly. When Draupadi weeps, the singer weeps. When the war begins, the singer's right hand becomes a bow and his left hand becomes an arrow, and the tambura drones beneath him like the sound of an army at distance. In the villages of the Michael Hills, Vedmati was the style that survived longest because it required no props, only memory. An old Vedmati singer could perform in a courtyard with nothing but a clay lamp and the instrument on his shoulder. Every Pandwani performance has a scene the audience waits for the way a church waits for the sermon. It is the disrobing of Draupadi in the Kaurava court, the moment when Dushasana tries to strip her in front of the assembled kings and she calls on Krishna to protect her honor. In Sanskrit epic tradition, this is a theological moment, Krishna's divine intervention. In Chhattisgarhi Pandwani, it is something more immediate. The singer stops the action. He turns to the women in the audience. He says, "Tell me, mothers, if this happened in your village today, who would speak?" The women shout answers. The singer weaves their shouts into the performance. Draupadi becomes not a mythological queen but every woman who has been shamed in public while men with power watched. The Krishna who sends an endless sari is not only a god. He is the hope that somewhere, somehow, injustice will be stopped. The crowd weeps. The tambura drones. The epic is, for that night, about Chhattisgarh. In Bastar, where the 75-day Dashera festival fills the district capital of Jagdalpur with processions and the worship of local deities alongside Hindu gods, Pandwani has a special place. During festival nights, after the official ceremonies end, villagers gather in open grounds. A singer steps forward. The fire is lit. The tambura is tuned. The singer begins not with the birth of the Pandavas but with a local invocation, a blessing to the earth goddess Danteshwari, to the clan deities of the Maurya, to the forest itself. Then the Mahabharat begins. The Maurya and Halba listeners, many of whom also follow their own non-Hindu sacred traditions, do not see this as contradiction. The epic is a guest story, an honored guest, allowed to speak because it speaks about power and betrayal and the cost of war, themes the forest people know from their own history of dealing with outside kings and colonial agents. A Pandwani singer's training begins in childhood. A guru, usually an uncle or an elder performer, teaches not by writing but by repetition. The student listens to the same episode 50 times. Then he recites it back. Then he performs it before a small audience of family. The epic episodes are long. A full telling of the Kurukshetra war can take 6 hours. The singer must remember not only words but rhythm, gesture, and the precise moment to pause for audience response. Memory is physical. Old singers in Chhattisgarh speak of the tambura string as a rope tying the story to the body. If the string breaks during a performance, some singers refuse to continue, not from superstition alone, but because the drone is the epic's heartbeat. Without it, the words float free and the singer loses the thread. The body and the story are one instrument. In the 20th century, Pandwani left the courtyards. Tejan Bai of Chhattisgarh, born in 1956 in the village of Ganyari near Bhilai, became the tradition's most famous performer, carrying the Kapalik style to stages in Delhi, Paris, and London. She played Draupadi with such force that audiences who had never heard of Chhattisgarh wept in their seats. But in the villages, the tradition continued in its older form. A grandmother still sings fragments while winnowing rice. A truck driver still plays Pandwani cassettes on long hauls through the Michael Hills. The epic, which was composed for kings and priests, now belongs to autorickshaw speakers and school cultural programs and the annual Pandwani competitions held in Raipur. The Mahabharat has been translated into every major Indian language. In Chhattisgarh, it was translated into voice. When a Pandwani singer ends a performance, he does not say the story is over. He says, "This is what we remember so far." The Mahabharat is too large to finish. There is always another episode, another angle, another moral the village needs to hear this year. In Chhattisgarh, where coal mines and steel plants and Naxalite conflict and farmer protests have marked the modern era, the epic's questions: who owns the land? What is a just war? What do the powerless owe the powerful? Have not aged. The singers know this. They update the asides. They look at the audience. They make Arjuna's hesitation on the battlefield sound like a young man deciding whether to join a struggle he did not start. Pandwani is not a museum piece. It is how Chhattisgarh thinks aloud about justice. The tambura drones. The Pandavas speak. The forest listens. Tomorrow's story comes from another corner of India. Subscribe to walk with us through the folklore of every region in your language.